All right, guys, so we got to talk about what is a very disturbing set of events that are unfolding here in Washington, D.C., involving Trump's criminal trial dealing with January 6th and his attempts to overturn the 2020 election, the Jack Smith trial, in which you have woke judge Miss Tanya Chutkan, who the woke revolutionaries has touted as a strong, powerful black woman that's going to take down Trump, right? A line of black women in this country have been the frontline defense against Trump, right? This is what the left says, right? They love throwing black women under the bus when it comes to Trump, right? Which, again, is fascinating because they're essentially saying that black women are the reason why the country is in such bad shape, right? This is what they're inadvertently saying. Anyways, Miss Tanya Chutkan has gone full-blown authoritarian, right? And she has now issued a partial gag order against Trump and his ability to criticize the prosecution, the politically motivated prosecution against him. And again, this is a big deal because it shows you guys that the First Amendment in this country is dead, particularly for those who have the wrong political points of view or on the wrong side of the political aisle. Take a look.
And we have breaking news for you. A federal judge has just issued a partial gag order on former President Donald Trump in his election interference case. She will now restrict the former president from speaking about special counsel Jack Smith, the court, its staff, and potential witnesses. However, he is not restricted from speaking about Washington, D.C. and the jury pool, sharing criticisms of the Biden administration or statements that he believes the case is politically motivated. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins us now to walk through this fresh ruling. Jessica, just explain this decision by the judge how challenging it must have been to reach considering what's at stake.
Absolutely. I think you laid it out very clearly. Scott McFarland has been reporting from inside the courtroom, and essentially Judge Chutkan did exactly what she said she was going to. She said, I'm going to grant in part and deny in part the prosecution's request for a gag order. And she said, I am going to come up with something that is narrowly tailored. And so what has she done here? Exactly as you said. What she said is, don't disparage or don't use inflammatory and derogatory statements with respect to the special counsel, the court staff, and potential witnesses. When you think about gag orders and the reason behind gag orders, that makes an enormous amount of sense. You're trying to protect the criminal justice system. You're trying to protect the witnesses. You're trying to protect broadly the administration of justice. But then on the other hand, she's acknowledging the First Amendment concern. She's acknowledging that this is not just criminal defendant Trump. This is, in fact, a presidential candidate. And she's not at this point restricting general statements about the Biden administration, about DC in general. She's saying, I think we can still protect the jury pool in other ways. So she really is, I think, looking directly at which statements need to be limited in order to protect this case as it moves forward.
And former President Trump has long said this and all the other cases are witch hunts, and it's an effort to just limit his freedom of speech. So explain how the judge arrived at this partial ruling. I guess what I'm really wondering is how it will be enforced if the president does go as far as to criticize the court staff, which he's already done.
So the reporting indicates that the way this will be enforced is she says, essentially, I have all the tools necessary to enforce that. So what does this actually mean? Yeah. If there was a violation, then in the first instance, usually what happens is you would face a fine, which is a monetary damage. If there is another violation, then you can talk about more serious sanctions. These are very rare, but you can be thrown in jail for contempt of court, or in this case, in federal prison. Now, I just want to emphasize that is rare, but everything about this case is rare. And so I think you're exactly right to zero in on this question of remedies. It always goes like this. The first remedy is a monetary damage, and then the second remedy, potentially, rarely, is incarceration.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? What you see here is, in my opinion, just another attempt to interfere with the 2024 election from Democrats, right? They're basically saying, look, we're not going to allow you to criticize Jack Smith. We're not going to allow you to criticize General Milley or Bill Barr or any of the witnesses. We're not going to be able to allow you to talk about the staff. We're not going to allow you to talk about the court. Okay, we're basically going to take away your ability to defend yourself, okay, and to sway public opinion in regards to this trial and the people involved. We're going to take that away. And if you break the rules, then we're going to send you to jail, right? So again, this is just another attempt here to, again, try to affect the outcome of the 2020 election by not allowing Trump to freely speak, which means he can't freely campaign, because a part of his campaign is the fact that he's being politically persecuted, right, by the deep state. Okay, and that's something that Trump talks about quite a bit. He talks about how crooked and corrupt and deranged Jack Smith is, the prosecutors are. But apparently now, under this gag order, statements like that, he has to be very careful, right? He can't really say stuff like what he said yesterday, anymore, right? There's some limits on what he can say. Like, for example, this is what he said. Tomorrow is a big day for democracy. A leaking, crooked, and deranged prosecutor, Jack Smith, who has a terrible record of failure, is asking a highly partisan Obama-appointed judge, Tanya Chutkan, who should recuse herself based on the horrible things she has said, to silence me through the use of a powerful gag order, making it impossible for me to criticize those who are doing the silencing, namely crooked Joe Biden and his corrupt and weaponized DOJ and FBI. Yeah, it's true, right? Tanya Chutkan should step down. She should resign because she is an activist judge. She clearly has a form of Trump derangement syndrome. They're trying to pretend that Trump is some threat, okay, that the things he says is going to result in violence, even though they don't have any evidence that that's actually the case. They just say it to try to make it seem like Trump is some violent man. He's a violent individual, even though he's not. And again, what you have here is just this very blatant and overt attempt to try to sway the outcome of the election by silencing Trump. And if he talks, then they're going to try to throw him in jail, right? Again, this is authoritarianism here, right? This is the fascist state that is being created by the Democrat Party. But again, these are the people screaming about fascism all day when they're really the ones, right? They want to take away my First Amendment rights and my ability to both campaign and defend myself. In other words, they want to cheat and interfere in the 2024 presidential election. Ding, 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 ding. Right? That's what this is about. It's about taking away his ability to say certain things on the campaign trail. Because again, you got to understand, this is how it works. The prosecution, the indictments against him, they have a negative effect, okay, presumably on his ability to campaign. Right? He has to go to court. He has to deal with the legal system. He has to use some of his funds, right? His money to pay for his defense, right? But again, they don't want to give him the ability to attack the very system that is coming after him, right? To criticize the system that is coming after him, which makes it effectively even harder for him to campaign, right? Again, that's what this is all about. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. It is strictly banana republic kind of stuff. These political hacks and thugs are destroying our country. Let's see what happens on Monday in Judge Chutkan's courtroom. Will America survive or not? I'll be campaigning in the great state of Iowa, where I am leading by 50 points. Yeah, so he's 100% right. And what happened is that Miss Tanya Chutkan is saying, look, you can't, talk about Jack Smith being a thug or deranged, which, by the way, he's calling a white man a thug. So clearly he's not, being racist, like they try to say, well, him criticizing the prosecutor out in Fulton County, Miss Fannie Pack Willis, any criticisms of her are racist, right? They try to accuse him of saying the N-word because he called them riggers, right? He's actually trying to call them the N-word, right? But again, it seems to me that whether you're black, white, whatever your skin color is, Trump goes after everybody. Everybody's free game if you're going after him. And they're trying to limit his ability to defend himself and to go after the people that are going after him. Again, this is truly banana republic type of stuff. And this is a type of authoritarianism that has become commonplace in this country that, in my opinion, is just unacceptable. But unfortunately, it's very commonplace. And I think that the biggest takeaway from this that people need to kind of understand and realize is that if they can do this to a former sitting president and a guy that, if the elections are held today, he can be president again. It's likely he would be president again. They can do it to anybody, right? They're going to weaponize it against anybody who disagrees with the regime, right? And that is the biggest issue here. It's not just that it's happening to Trump. It's the fact that because it's happening to Trump, that means it can happen to anybody. And that is what we should be the most concerned with. Now, again, you know, the reason why they're doing this stuff is because the dude he's dominating, right? I mean, like, if you look at some of the swing state polls, he's beating Biden across the board. In the national polls, he's beating Biden. The outlier polls are now starting to become normal, right? You know, the tides are changing and these people are scared to death. Okay. They're afraid that Trump is going to take back office. And what they're really most afraid of is if he takes back office, you know, the revenge, okay, that is going to be extracted when he gets back in power. That's what they don't like the most. So again, they're getting more and more and more extreme about trying to shut him up, trying to throw him in jail early in order to try to sway the outcome of the election. Because again, they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified of the man. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.